Okay, good evening. My name is Rod Shepard. I'm principal of Florence High School. I apologize for the delay. It's now 6:01. Just trying to make sure that everything was working properly as it relates to getting the simulcast on Facebook going alongside of what we have going on with Zoom. If you're joining us tonight, it is my hope that we'll be able to provide you with some information about the virtual options that will be available from Florence City Schools this year. As it relates to the 2020-2021 school year, which will launch on August the 20th. Tonight, we'll have an opportunity to be able to answer your questions. We're asking that you type your questions in the chat box as and we'll try to respond to them both in the chat box as well as verbally. I will tell you right now that I am not the person that will have all the answers to the questions, but I am not alone in relationship to this meeting that we have tonight. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce some of the people that we have present that are participating with us here in this meeting tonight that are officials of the Florence City School System. We have Dr. Jimmy Shaw, who is our superintendent, who is sitting in the meeting with us. We have Dr. Lynn Heiss, who is our assistant superintendent over curriculum, who is in the meeting with us. Mr. Kevin Wiesman, the principal, is in the meeting with us. Dr. Darren Lett, principal at Florence Freshman Center, is in the meeting with us tonight. Mrs. Karen Sammons, virtual school teacher in the English and health area, is on the meeting with us tonight. Miss Lydia Barnett, who does math and works at Florence Middle School, is also in the meeting with us. Miss Chelsea Dennison, social studies teacher, is in the meeting with us tonight. And Ms. Holly Landrum, who is our science teacher, is in the meeting with us tonight. With all these professionals and all these experts as it relates to virtual, hopefully we'll be able to address a great many of your questions and things that are going on in your mind as it relates to the virtual option. For just a little background here, the Florence City School System in grades 7 through 12 has been able to offer virtual options for our students since 2013. So this will be our 7th year of being able to do so. Each year we have offered virtual options for students who have opted to take virtual classes for various reasons, whether it's to create more time to be able to take fine arts courses or other reasons that have arisen over time that students would want to free up time in their schedule to be able to take other things that they were interested in. In the situation that we're in right now as it relates to the pandemic, the COVID-19, our state superintendent, Dr. Eric Mackey, has indicated that all schools would have a virtual option, which puts us in a good place already having that in place. And of course, dealing with that fact, we feel confident that this year there might be 1 or 2 more people than normal that would want to take a virtual option, whether it be taking some courses in the virtual school, taking all of their courses in the virtual school. I would like to go ahead and tell you and direct you to the fact that on our website, the Florence City Schools website, if you were to click on the curriculum tab and then scroll down, you will see a virtual tab, and you can click on that tab, and what you will be able to find is information about the virtual offerings that we have in the Florence City School System, as well as a list of the courses that are available for you to be able to take in Florence City. So I just wanted to make you aware of those things and kind of mention that to you. The virtual option is something that I want to make sure that I clarify to you. If you decide to take the virtual option to go to school, your students will still get a good quality education as it relates to what our teachers bring forth through the virtual school. The course that they would take face-to-face is the same course that they would take in the virtual school. The teachers do a wonderful job of being able to be accessible to the students. And I can verify that and show that in relationship to me scheduling this meeting itself. You know, I emailed, I texted, they are Johnny on the spot right back with offering to me to be able to be accessible. I will tell you that I've had children that have also, 2 of my daughters that have also taken courses under each of these instructors, and it's a great opportunity in terms of what they're able to do. Again, the purpose of this meeting, last week, your principals in grades 7 through 12 sent out an email that basically had a link that would allow you to be able to share if you were interested in taking a virtual course. This kind of helps us be able to get a read about how many students out there are looking at the virtual option. It's very important to us because as it relates to getting the schedule ready to go, what that provides to us is knowing what teacher units we have that will be needed for face-to-face and what teacher units we'll have that will be needed to be able to provide the virtual option to our students. So we've kind of set a date of July the 24th to ask you if you're interested in doing the virtual option, that you've made contact with us, made contact with the counselor. I can tell you that tomorrow there will be a document that is on that website for you to be able to apply and be able to show that you are wanting to go that way in relationship to being a virtual student. So that's something that's out there as it relates to the overview. And that's what I had as it relates to the overview. This time, Dr. Lett, Mr. Wiesman, I don't know if you have something that you would like to add that I may have, stumbled over.
No, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Lett.
Thank you, Rod, for the introduction. We're kind of monitoring the chat on the side here, and we want to make sure that you guys are aware. We're going to try to get to all of your questions as best we can and give you the knowledge that we have. Thank you for joining us, and Mr. Wiesman, I'll send it to you.
Same thing, Dr. Lett, and that's what we're going to say. Thank you, Dr. Shepard. Also, I can't reiterate, our teachers do a great job with this program. So thank you. My son is actually taking a course this summer. It is very, very well managed, and he will not lose instruction just because of different settings. So great job, and looking forward to this endeavor.
Virtual teachers, Ms. Sammons, would you like to, I tried to do a good job of sharing about the virtual. Is there anything I may have missed that you would like to add?
I would just say that as far as virtual goes, as a parent, I've also had 2 children come through Florence City Schools that have both taken virtual classes. Yes, it's different, but it's not different content. I think sometimes parents worry like, oh, they're not going to be getting the same kind of education as they would be in a face-to-face class. And that's not necessarily true. It may be different, but they're getting the same education. They're covering the same content. And we do our very best to stay in contact with the students. I know all of the virtual teachers, we all have apps on our phone, Canvas app, our email app, and we reply to the students quickly. There's very, very few times that they ask questions that we aren't immediately replying to them. We let them see our faces, whether we happen to see them at school or we find them at school or we post videos of ourselves. So it's not like they're working with a teacher that's a stranger. And I think that's one big difference in our virtual program as opposed to some of the others. We're Florence teachers. We have kids in Florence City Schools. We're Florence folks. And I think that makes a huge difference because we're vested in this program and we love it and we know how great it is. Now, of course, this year things have changed a bit. And so we feel like we'll probably have more students, but we're ready for that. We've been trying to grow this program every single year. So it is a great asset. And I think for those of you that have had students in a class, you know that, we do a pretty good job of keeping the students on pace with their peers. And that's a big goal of ours.
Okay, I'm just looking at some of the questions over there that have come up, and I'd like to respond to a couple of them if I could. One of the questions kind of asked if I could take some virtual courses and be able to take some fine arts courses. The answer to that question is yes. That's always been the case, and that it will not change during the course of this year as it relates to our students and what they take. There was another question that asked if we have FAFA classes available. The listing of the courses that we have available is on that website, as I mentioned. Not all FAFA classes will be available. I'm not sure which ones you're asking about, but I will tell you that the list is on that website. There was a question about AP courses and dual enrollment courses. Dual enrollment will still take place with Northwest Shoals and the University of Alabama, as well as those who take it at the University of North Alabama. Kids is on the call, but at any rate, we'll still have dual enrollment and we'll follow the college procedures that they will have in place as it relates to dual enrollment. I will say this right here because this is a commercial break that I needed to send out to parents tonight. If you have not turned in your paperwork for dual enrollment, Ms. Lori Lovelace needs that paperwork so that she can get you enrolled in the proper courses and get everything right with your schedule. So I do need to make sure that I say that. AP courses, as it relates to the virtual school, we will offer AP courses as the courses make. Some of the AP options will have to possibly be given through Access, which is what we do kind of right now. We do have some AP courses that are built. Other AP courses, let's say that I was taking an AP course that is not necessarily in our virtual school on this course listing right now. We have enough students to sign up for that. We'll figure out a way to have one of our teachers be able to offer that course. It's kind of what we'll do as it relates to AP. Someone asked the question about how accessible are our teachers. Will they be accessible every? Our teachers are accessible via email. They have office hours that they set up. And so it will kind of be, I haven't had any kind of situation where a teacher in our virtual school was not accessible for our students to be able to get information. They are so accessible that as a parent, I had a child that needed to turn something in and they contacted me. So they're pretty much, they will be Johnny on the spot as it relates to that. Ms. Dennison, would you like to speak to your availability? I mean, or either of you. Don't mean to put you on the spot. You're muted right now, I'm sorry.
Need to monitor these chats to make sure I'm telling them the right thing. So.
Okay, can you try to say it again, what you were saying? I can't hear. Ms. Sammons, you can speak to it. I mean, I know that you're.
I was just going to say, like I said earlier, we are constantly accessible. I wouldn't necessarily say that there's a certain time frame. Like we say, hey, don't contact me after a certain time. I definitely tell my students that, you know, I'm old, so I go to bed a lot earlier than they do. So I generally return emails during the school year, you know, probably up till, you know, 9 or 10 p.m. I mean, if they email me, I email them right back. It comes up on my phone, I reply. Now in the summer, yeah, I'm usually up later, so I am replying later. But the thing about it is, if they send an email at 2 a.m., which if you have a teenager, you know they do not live on the same time schedule that we do. They're working sometimes at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Obviously, I'm not going to be replying at that time, but I will see that as soon as I get up the next morning. The first thing I do, get some coffee, I log on, and I start returning emails from students. So, you know, they're not up yet, but as soon as they get up, they'll have my reply. So it's not a set time like, hey, we're available from 8 to 3. You know, we sort of know, taking on a virtual role, that our hours sometimes are a little different than other teachers. Our students are generally not working in the same time frame. They don't generally work 8 to 3. There's a reason why they're taking virtual. Sometimes they don't start working on their classes until 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. That's why we're available, you know, I would say most of the time to reply to those emails. There's very few times I tell my students, if you don't get a reply from me in an hour and it's a normal time up till, you know, 10, 11 o'clock at night, I didn't get your email. So we're going to be in constant contact with them.
Yeah, a couple of questions. One question is, can I have your permission to record? Anytime you subject yourself to something like this, people are recording anyway. So, you know, if you need to record, that's by all means, please do so. I mean, it's, you know, if you're putting it out there and it's on Facebook Live, you can scroll down and it's going to be there. I'm not going to go delete it, because the information that we're sharing is the information that hopefully will help individuals who are trying to make this decision. I see the question right there that asks, are students going to be required to wear masks? I can tell you right now that what we're going to the Alabama Department of Health's guidelines as it relates to the mask wearing. At this time, there is some guidance that says that our adults will need to wear a mask when they're within 6 feet of our students in terms of interaction. At this time, there is not a requirement for our students to wear a mask, but what I can tell you is that we will strongly encourage masks. And I plan to try to have some masks available for students who don't have one for themselves. And so that's what I'll say as it relates to that, the answer to that question. The next one was about AP courses and when will we know when they make. What I will tell you about knowing when an AP course will make is that deadline that we have is July the 24th. As soon as we can get information about which courses are being requested, we can start making some of those determinations about which courses we'll be able to offer, what we'll have to use for access, and how we'll be able to distribute the courses. And so that's the answer to the AP question to the best of what I can give.
I see a couple of questions about students involved in sports. Can they still dance? Can they play a sport? Can they do a fa class or whatever and do virtual? Yes, that has always been the case. I mean, we have students that might come to school for 3 periods a day and they take the rest of their classes online, through the virtual program. So yes, they can do that. They can come for dance and then they take everything else virtually or whatever it is that they need to do. So yes, all of those questions about can they take us, can they play sport and still be in virtual? Yes, they can.
I see the question is virtual a year-long commitment? That's a very interesting question that you raised. I will tell you that if you sign up to do virtual, that we will not be able to put you right back into a course the next week in terms of face-to-face, because to put you in virtual, we will have had to make some decisions as it relates to our personnel. What we're looking at is looking at grading periods as an option to be determined when a student who goes virtual decides to come back to a face-to-face setting. We will be looking at grading periods to make those determinations so that we can make moves that we might have to make with personnel. I will tell you that we will keep in line as it relates to what has been put out there for individuals who start off traditional that decide to go virtual. We'll try to make that allotment as smooth and as efficient as possible as it relates to the guidelines that were set forth by our state superintendent.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, Ms. Dennison, loud and clear.
Okay. I saw a question about how many hours a day should be expected to spend on classwork. And that's a question that we virtual teachers get a lot for the summer virtual option. And that is going to be very dependent on your student, like your child and the type of student they are. If they're taking everything fully virtual, then I would recommend like spending an actual full school day working, like the 8 to 3 or whatever you want to call it. But that's just dependent on your child and whether they're a fast worker or whether it just takes them a little more time to get things done, that kind of thing.
I see the question. I see, and I hope I answered this a while ago. I see that one individual is waiting on a pediatrician's advice as to whether or not to send your child back to school. As what I was trying to mention before, if once you get that opinion from your doctor, you can make that request here at school, and we'll try to honor it as ASAP as soon as we possibly can. Encore courses, we do have some courses that are encore that are in our virtual school. And we'll be able to offer most of what it is that your child will be able to want to take. I saw the question is virtual option K-12? It is a K-12 option. I don't have K-6 answers here tonight. Let me just go ahead and tell you, there'll be a separate meeting for the K-6.
We'll just K-6 tomorrow night.
That is tomorrow night. This
7
is 7/12 here. But the K-6 meeting will take place at 7 p.m. tomorrow night.
I was going to address the question about virtual classes meeting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. They don't exactly work that way. We use Canvas as our learning management system, and all of us pretty much post our work on Sunday, and that work is for the week. As Ms. Dennison suggested, some students choose to work, all day, 8 to 3, that are all virtual. Which we've had fully virtual students already, so that's not really a new thing for us. Some students choose to do 1 week's worth of work in one day. They might do their math on Monday, their English on Tuesday, whatever like that. So it just kind of depends on your child and what works best for them. And it might take them a little bit to figure that out. So, we realize that. So it just sort of depends on the child. So no, it's not Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. The work is there and they can work where they want and when they want. That is the beauty of virtual. Now, I will say this, there are deadlines, there are assignment due dates. Those are all in Canvas. They can't just wait until the very end of the 9 weeks and submit all of their work at one time. But for the most part, they can choose to do their work at any point during the week.
I see a question about plexiglass in the classroom. At this time, there is no plan that I'm aware of to be able to put any plexiglass up in any classroom that exists here at Florence High School. Can't speak and throughout the system that I'm aware of. I will tell you this. I saw somebody ask what a classroom will look like. Classroom, we're going to try to make sure that we're following the procedures that have been set forth as guidelines. We'll try to distance. We'll make sure the hand sanitizer's up all the way around the building. Teachers will be wearing their mask. We'll also make sure that we encourage our students to wear masks. That's kind of where we'll be with that. I saw another question that asked about football season. At this time, the Alabama High School Athletic Association is going to release their guidance on July the 22nd as to what the season will look like. All indications that I have read right now is that we will have a football season. It probably won't look like what your traditional football seasons have looked like, but the guidance on that will come out on the 22nd. I have a meeting that I'll be attending later this week with the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the state superintendent, where they're going to release some information out to the principals on that. And so that's kind of where we are with that, to answer that question.
I see a question about if a child has a 504 plan, how would that be incorporated for virtual? Again, we've had this situation before, students with 504 plans, IEPs, and we follow those. If a student needs a test read aloud, we make sure that happens. Extra time on test or extra time on assignments, different things, depends on what those accommodations are. But yes, we definitely take those into account in virtual, just like we would in the regular classroom.
And I saw a question about how does virtual school work. Basically, it's set up where your child will have a lesson, and that might be some reading. It could be a Google Slides or PowerPoint presentation. It could be videos, different things like that. So they'll watch, read, view that lesson, and then there'll be certain assignments corresponding with that lesson. And those could be assignments. They may have something to complete in Google Docs. They may have to create some type of presentation. It might be a short answer, maybe paragraph essay or a discussion or a short quiz. And they'll complete those assignments, however many there are for each lesson. So it's in Canvas, and everything is set up to where when they click on that first lesson, they can just move through that module like in that order. The assignments are there. The next lesson after that is there. Of course, if there is ever a time that a student would need maybe some one-on-one more explanation, I'm sure they could email any of us and we could set up a Zoom meeting or something like that to answer any questions or give further explanation for anything that they might be struggling with.
And also that as students work through a lesson, as soon as they have a question, we all encourage them to message us or email us as soon as they have a question on that lesson, so that it doesn't just stay confusing or continue to be a question and a stopping place for them in the lesson. So communication between student and teacher is very important in a virtual classroom.
I see a question about someone asking about there being some courses that are available and some courses not available. I feel confident that our course offerings will provide an opportunity for most students who sign up to take the virtual option to be able to have a full schedule using the courses that we do have available. And our counselors will work diligently to make sure that that we're able to satisfy the needs of our students, to make sure that they have what they need in terms of getting the units they're directed towards graduation for sure as it relates to the high school. See, another question that says something about, and it doesn't, I'm going to paraphrase this. It says, what if the wheels fall off and we go completely all virtual again? Does everyone go into virtual with their virtual teachers? And I'm going to say that answer is going to be no. What will happen is if a teacher's in Rod Shepard's class, and is assigned to me in August, I'm teaching them government and economics, as that's what I taught. Then if we had to go out in December, January, whatever, I'm going to continue to be their teacher. I'm going to offer them synchronous instruction, which means that I will try to teach them face-to-face, and I will also offer them asynchronous instruction. And we will continue on, and we will have school, and we will take grades. We will have tests, and we will do the best that we can to be able to serve your students. And I can assure you that plan has to be thought of, although I hope it's not something that we have to go to. I'm wanting to be in school. I'm over COVID.
Again, Dr. Shepard, I think it's a good time. You want to talk about, again, where the link will be provided for Florence City Schools. I see some questions on here talking about how do we sign
Yes.
up. Go ahead and review that. Some
So
people just may log
link,
on.
if you go to the Florence City Schools website, www.florencek12.org, you'll to the curriculum tab, and you'll scroll down and you'll see the virtual options, and that's where you'll find the information about the courses that we're able to offer. That's also where tomorrow you will find that K-12 document for you to be able to sign up for virtual school. And of course, like I said before, last week we sent out some information to kind of gauge interest so that we could have some information for our counselors and be able to have an idea of what we were dealing with. Again, this is a situation where we've got to know as soon as possible so that we can make the scheduling changes that we need to make as it relates to both our students and our adults to make sure that we're able to serve our students in both the traditional setting as well as in the virtual option that's being afforded.
I see a question. It says, does the virtual, oh, I just lost it. Does the virtual instructor offer live instruction / teaching via Google Classroom? Generally, that's not how virtual works because our students aren't working on a regular 8 to 3 schedule for the most part. Usually, and this has always been in the past, you know, students are taking virtual because they've got other things going. Maybe they're working a half a day or maybe they're taking 4 fine arts classes or something like that. But, you know, there is some video instruction when needed in the class. There are video announcements. There are lots of other ways that students actually see us, but it's not live. Like, hey, 8 a.m. log on. We're gonna all, you know, have a meeting about whatever content it is we're actually going over because not all students can log on at the same time in virtual. So no, it's not live teaching, you might say.
I see the question, and it's a very valid question as it relates to making the determination of what I'm going to do with my child for the fall. It asks, will students change classes throughout the day? Are there changes planned for PE, lunch, and other gatherings? I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the school day, and I said this in the parent meeting that we had the other day, the school day, or the traditional school day that we've known in the past is not how the school day will look 100% in this upcoming year. There will have to be changes as it relates to how we do things for lunch, for PE, for breakfast, to be able to make sure that we're following the practices that, to the best of our ability as it relates to social distancing. Yes, we will change classes. We'll have to change from classes to go from point A to point B. And dealing with that, there will be things that we'll have to do in the hallway to try to make sure that we're keeping our distance and to make sure that we're continuing to keep the flow of traffic going. It makes hallway duty a little bit more important, as I see it, to keep the flow of traffic going. So yes, we do plan to change classes, and yes, we will have plans in place. And once those plans are finalized, I promise you, they will be put out there for you to be able to see and for you to be able to know exactly how it's going to be that we will run our regular school day. Lots of hours and energy and thought is going into the development of these plans to try to make sure that what we're doing is going to be in the best interest of all those that we serve, as well as those who will be carrying out the function of being able to execute the plan that's put in place. There's a question about the combination of virtual and traditional. So let me give you an example of what some of the things that we have going on right now. And I've got a student that was very interested in the career tech courses and trying to take every career tech course that we had to offer as it relates to cosmetology. So she took some courses on virtual so she could get ahead and free up more room in her schedule to be able to take those cosmetology courses. So what happens in terms of that combination is I might take all of my cores virtually, and I might decide that I'm going to take my encore or whatever course it is face-to-face in a traditional setting. So your schedule will be created in a way that would allow for those two things to take place. I saw the question earlier about football or swimming or whatever. Your schedule will be created in a way that would allow you to do the virtual as well as the traditional to be able to satisfy what it is that you've asked for.
I see a question about testing. How do tests work on virtual? I can only answer for currently. I'm not exactly sure how things might change, for the fall, but currently virtual students come and take a proctored tests with a password on them, which they'll see that in their course in the virtual lab. They come in a separate door. It goes straight into the lab. Ms. Marsh runs the lab and she puts the password in and the students take the test and that's it. They go out again, a separate door, and there's very little contact actually in the school. Now that's at FHS. I'm not sure, if that will continue to be the process. I would assume so, unless, something major changes, they will test in the lab. Ms. Barnett or Ms. Dennison can speak to what goes on at the middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the past for middle school, those virtual students have always been put in a virtual advisory that took up half of their lunch period. And so they've come in and they've had same thing. They've had a teacher in there. Miss Heron, I believe, does the 8th grade. Miss Waddell does 7th grade. Who would put the password in and let them take the test there. But like Miss Salmon says, we can't speak for what it's going to look like in the upcoming school year because we're not for certain. That's how it's worked in the past.
I will say that we are working on possibly a solution so that students will be able to take assessments not at school and have some tests in security and integrity. But we're not quite ready to say what that is until we do a little bit more checking. But I promise you that our team has been working on something for quite some time after the spring for secure testing.
See a question about will you provide videos to help explain concepts for math, etc. I don't teach math, thankfully, that's not my thing, but Miss Barnett, yes, she does have a lot of videos in her courses to show students how to work problems and things like that. Again, she could speak to that more, but yes, we do have videos when needed.
Yeah, most lessons are set up that always have an additional component of a video that teaches the lesson in addition to some type of text option. And as in on virtual, same way we would like for students to do in class, students still need to take notes and work problems in math along with the videos that are posted for the lesson. So that's the best way to do a math virtual course. Still take notes, work the examples along with the teacher and things like that.
There's a question on here about what is the procedure when a student or teacher tests positive for COVID. What I will say is that we've been in talks. We met with Dr. Landers, who was the second in command at the Alabama Department of Public Health this past week. We're going to follow their guidelines. At this point, they said they're trying to get us clear guidelines, but at this point, the Alabama Department of Public Health is responsible for making those contacts and contact tracing. But one of the reasons that you don't have a more solid plan at this point is that we're trying to get the latest information before we roll this plan out. So we hope to have a plan out at the end of the week, but I can tell you for that purpose, it will be about whatever the Department of Public Health gives us as guidelines for that.
I see a question about counselors and virtual. I would assume that their grade level counselor will still be their counselor, and that, just as always, I know at the high school, our students, make appointments to meet with the counselor, and I'm sure, that could be done over Zoom or Google Meet or whatever if need be. I see the question about we're offering a hybrid option, not a truly virtual option. You know, except for currently having to come in and take a test, a student would never have to enter our campus, and that happens. I mean, again, we've had fully virtual students for several years now, so this is not a completely new thing for us. You know, I'm just going to speak for myself that, you know, when we had to go into virtual mode, of course, I didn't panic because we've already been doing this. So hopefully there'll be a plan in place, as Dr. Shaw mentioned, for even an option to probably test securely at home. We're not 100% sure about that yet, but other than that, you know, it's really not hybrid. It is all online.
The tests are also taken through Canvas also. I see that question.
Someone said, I see the question, is there a limit as to how many classes that you can take with the hybrid option, for virtual, for traditional? We've had some people that have graduated early and they have done some different kinds of things to be able to do that. So we're on an 8-period traditional day, and that's what we advise students to do. But if there's someone who can figure out some other type, and students are very savvy, I don't know that we've limited them before. If they have the capability, and they can be successful. Is there an actual link to the form? Again, that form will be available tomorrow. That's one, but that's.
I just want to address the question. There's a question about how often an 8th grade student have to come in to tests and time frame. Once again, we don't know. Hopefully that will be taken care of where they can test at home. But our testing time, I know at least at the high school, was always during the regular school day. I don't know what middle school would look like for a fully virtual student, if they would have to come in during that advisory time or if they could come in at another time or not. But that's our fully virtual students in the past. That's what they've done. They've just come in anytime during those school hours to test. But they may not have to come in and test if we're able to get something worked out where they can test securely at home.
And I will say this, there have been all kinds of situations where I'm thinking of one student in particular that was traveling with parents, and that, you know, they were gone for 3 weeks, and that student let me know ahead of time, you know, hey, this is what's happening. You know, they sent me an email, this is what's going on. I won't be back until this day. And that's fine. You know, we worked with that student and said, hey, when you get back, you know, here's what we need you to do. You know, it might say you've got a test this week, but if there are circumstances beyond that student's control, then obviously we're going to work with that student to make things work for them.
Yeah, I've saw 2 questions that I haven't responded to that are related to, if I start out on the virtual option and it's not working at the end of the first 9 weeks, can I swap back to traditional? That answer is going to be, that's the grading period that we're looking at to be able to make that swap back. I also saw where somebody says, if I want to be virtual for the first semester and then decide I want to go traditional for the second semester, is that possible? The answer to that question is yes, it will be possible. It's easier to do it at a semester than it is in 9 weeks, to be honest with you. I see a couple of questions about cleaning, and let me just say this about cleaning. We're going to try to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to wipe down, to make sure the classrooms are clean. We've got a couple of things that we're going to do to be able to sanitize rooms. And of course, so yes, we will be following the guidelines to try to make sure that we're killing germs as efficiently and as soon as possible, to try to make sure that we're doing our part here on campus during the school year. The exact plans as it relates to the drop off for school, how a day will go, all of that information is going to be provided for you once we get it all in stone. It will tell you for everything from what happens when your child comes into the school, where your child will be allowed to go, and how we'll handle breakfast procedures, how we'll go about handling the class change procedures. I see the question about lockers. There's conflicting things about lockers, but I will tell you that once we get fluid. We're going to make a decision of whether we'll have the lockers or not. That is definitely something that is out on the table right now. So there are lots of things that are on the table. And once we get them all defined and all ironed out, and I realize that we're in a time crunch, but we will get that taken care of. Working around the clock right now, trying to figure all of this out.
So I'm seeing a lot of questions about social distance in the classroom. I just want to be very honest and upfront with you all. Like, our state superintendent has spoken to this, and I will speak to this as our system superintendent. We will do all that we can in the classroom to space out as much as we can in the classroom. But the reality of it is that the only way you can truly social distance 6 feet in the classroom is that you increase the size of the classroom or you reduce the number of students in the classroom. So that is the reality of it is that we will do all that we can from ADPH guidelines, but I cannot promise you that your desk will be 6 feet apart, exactly 6 feet apart in a classroom. We cannot.
I see some good questions about when they filled out their schedules in the spring or course requests and everything else. Please know that we are working off of that previous information. That's how we staff. And any changes that we see going forward, we're working off of that. So your counselors will work diligently with you if you choose that virtual option. But if you did fill out your course request in the spring, which you all did, and hopefully you have registered and filled out everything within Florence City Schools, we're working off that current schedule. And so that's very important to know as we move forward. So that is our basis from which we're working for. And of course, these are personnel decisions we have to make. And that's the reason why this meeting is so important, that when you do fill out that application, that we're moving forward and committing that personnel to basically completing that option there that you've requested. So these are huge decisions, and hopefully we pass the word around our community that we have a great service. We've had it for many years, and but we are working off of that schedule, which was requested back in the spring.
Somebody asked if this would be available for replay. What I can tell you is if you go on the Florence High School Facebook page, it's being broadcast live, and it will still be up. I mean, you can go back to it and watch it. We don't delete them, so they're there. And so, yes, there will be an opportunity to look at this again. Or to share it with a friend.
I see a good question about the Florence Center. I am excited to say Florence Center has a new staff member, and Dr. Darren Lett is sitting there with one that used to be very familiar at Florence Middle School. Ms. Kim Tittle is now the Florence Freshman Center counselor. She will do a great job, as well as what she did for everything at Florence Middle School. She's going to expand upon it now at Florence Freshman Center. So those parents that are looking for Miss Mary, she is sleeping in late these days, but we have a great replacement there. Miss Kim Tittle will definitely help service you and any questions you need there for the freshmen.
Someone asked if we register for virtual, and the decision is made in our household right before school starts that we really want to be traditional. We can do a schedule change request, and we'll try to make sure that we're able to honor that. Yes, ma'am. And the schedules that you requested back in the spring, again, that our counselors right now are trying to make sure that those schedules are being fulfilled to the best of our ability with what your requests were from the spring. And that's at the Freshman Center and at the high school. We're working in conjunction with that.
I saw a question way back and I meant to answer it and I didn't. It asked about a device, like would you need a device other than your Chromebook? And no, you can do everything required for your virtual classes with your Chromebook.
But you can also use any other device just as long as you know your login information for Canvas. But yes, like Ms. Salmon says, everything works fine on the Chromebook. But if something happened, maybe you didn't have your Chromebook and you need to work on a laptop or a MacBook or something like that, as long as you have your login information for Canvas, you can access your stuff anywhere. We even have kids who have downloaded the Canvas student app and have done work on their phone, maybe during their break at work or something like that.
Someone asked, will their FAFA have live performances this year? What I'm going to say to that is that, large gatherings are not something that we've yet been given guidance on being able to have. We did learn in the spring is that different ways to be able to have performances. Some of them are virtual options. And so we'll explore what we are allowed to do based on what the guidelines are. And that's not the best way I can answer that question. We're going to try our best to make allow our students to have as normal of a school year as possible. And that is a part of a normal school year. There is a social aspect of it. But at the same time, we're going to make sure that we're safe and keeping our students safe from that.
Yeah, I see, more questions
Will there be
about
a campus
testing.
orientation? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just saw the question about campus orientation. On Thursday, August the 13th, we will have a virtual orientation for Florence High School. On Sunday, August the 16th, and I sure hope my dates are right, but I'm pretty sure they're right. We're going on that, whatever that Thursday is, that's the virtual one. That Sunday at 2 p.m., there will be a face-to-face option for those of you who choose to come in that way. We will encourage you to wear a mask. And I guess right now, our buildings are still kind of closed right now. We have a case-by-case situation where we're setting up meetings for people to come in or people drop by and that kind of thing. But it's just not free reign to come and go as you please. But we will have that orientation on that Sunday. And that's the freshman center orientation that will take place at 2 p.m. as well as the high school orientation that will take place at 2 p.m. You'll also get on the 11th, which should be that Tuesday, if my memory is serving me right. I had a birthday yesterday and turned 46, and so I don't know, but at the same there's going to be an email that's going to come out that will have orientation information. Then we'll have a Zoom meeting orientation / Facebook Live, very similar to what this is right now, on that Thursday at 6 p.m. And then at 2 p.m. we'll have the face-to-face option. So that's the plan right now, leading up to the opening day, which would be on the 20th.
The Freshman Center's virtual Zoom orientation is August 12th from 2:30 to 3:30. Again, August 12th from 2:30 to 3:30. And again, as Dr. Shepard shared, August 16th from 2 to 4 is that face-to-face orientation where we welcome you to the school if you so choose to join us.
And I've got Florence Middle School's virtual is on August the 13th. And then the in-person is August the 18th. And like I said, there'll be a lot more information coming out about that, but you will have an option to actually visit the campus, or we will have a film crew that actually goes around the campus and helps with some of the bigger high points there too. So.
Thanks for the birthday wish. Yesterday was great. Also relates to your Chromebook. You'll keep the Chromebook that you have right now. That's what you'll do as it relates to the Chromebook. Okay. I think we've taken up quite a bit of your time. Some of you have been on this since 5:30, and we thank you for being here since 5:30. There still might be a question that you're going to think of after the fact. Please feel free to call Florence High School, 768-2200, Florence Freshman Center, 768-2400, Florence Middle School, 768-3100. And somebody that's going to try to answer those questions for you. Or you can email any of us with the first initial last name and FlorenceK12.org, and we'll try to get the information out there for you as well. This will try to inform you with some information that would hopefully be able to help you as you try to determine what is going to be in the best interest of your child. I will tell you, I've had a couple of emails to ask me, what should I do? I can't make that determination for you, okay? But at the same time, I will tell you that we're going to educate your child, whichever decision it is that you make, to the best of our abilities here in the Florence City School System as we go forward. Again, please remember that if you want more information or you want the application, you go to FlorenceK12.org. You can go to the link that says curriculum, scroll down to where it is that it says virtual options. And of course, that's where the information will be provided to be able to help you. Call me, email the school, and we'll try to do our best. If all minds are clear in relationship to those on this, I don't want to, if anybody else has something to say as a parting shot, I don't know.
Just, I'll reiterate what you were sharing, Rod, about I know it's a decision to make and you got to weigh your options. It would be really helpful for us from a schedule and personnel standpoint to get that by the 24th, I think is what you were saying, July 24th. That would be super helpful. I know that that's quick. So we get it if you can't, but by the 24th would be super helpful. And thank you for joining us tonight.
And again, I want to say thank you to our teachers. We're very blessed in Florence City Schools to have the leadership and also have the instructional integrity that we have. These are our teachers, all right? They're not some ghost figure that if you look at other programs and everything else, I don't know who is going to be leading your child. They're using our pacing guide. They're using our materials. These teachers have been in our classroom. So we're very fortunate to have the progressive thought for many years. And you can see where it's coming in play at this particular time. Our kids will not be behind. They're actually moving forward.
Okay. All right. With that, again, thank you all for joining in. And I'm going to sign this thing off if I can figure out how.
Thank you.